Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Alex, and I am here in China. Time check is 6:26 p.m. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm here in the lovely city of Chongqing, and as you saw the introduction there, things are starting to look a little bit cold in Europe, and that could be, well, not very good if you have massive energy prices going on. And, well, we've got a lot to talk about today. We're going to be sending out some big birthday wishes to some leaders around the world. And, of course, we have our wonderful, amazing guest on the show here today, or let's call him the co-host. It's AJ PTE from the United Kingdom. Thanks for joining us here, AJ. How are you?
Hey, Alex. Yeah, good to be here. Can I just say congratulations on a great performance yesterday on the Duran. You did absolutely amazing. Yeah,
I appreciate that.
You couldn't have done it any better. So congratulations on that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm fine. It's back to rainy London today. I'm in London, in my house at the moment. So yeah, it's back to rain. It's looking very bad, the weather. Back to usual. But yeah, I'm doing good. How about you, Alex?
Yeah, very good. So, AJ, tell us what you think the top stories are going to be for tonight's program.
Yeah, today we're going to be talking about Saudi Arabia, and we're going to talk about OPEC. We're also going to be talking about China's Uyghurs UN resolution, which failed. The West basically failed to put a resolution on that. We're also going to be talking about blackouts in UK, which could happen. Maybe Thailand's shootings if we get any time. But yeah, it's going to be a packed show today.
Yeah, some of that news coming out of Thailand was very disturbing. As you guys know, I used to live in Thailand, and to see that magnitude of shootings going on in that country, the Thai people are very kind people, and to see something like that, wow. I mean, that really grabs the headlines. And we see, these random things happening once in a while all over parts of the world. And that just says to me that the world really right now is suffering. AJ, I also saw some headlines coming out of London. What was it, yesterday in broad daylight, a stabbing? Was there any truth to that, or did you hear about that? The latest on that?
Yeah, in London there's always stabbings. It's almost daily news. Yeah, I don't really take much notice of it, but yeah, it's almost daily news. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, I somebody tried to attack me with a knife only
What?
2-3 weeks ago. Yeah, somebody. I live in a very dodgy area in London, and
Okay.
looks like maybe he was on drugs or something. He came up to me and he's pulled out a knife. He says, "Give me some money." But Alex, I've been living in that area all my life, so I know how to deal with these thugs. All I said to him was, "Look, there's some coppers behind you." And he looked back, and I grabbed his knife, and he was like, "Oh, let go, let go." I said, "No, no."
Wow.
So I managed to twist his arm and take it off him, but he
That
ran away
is
after that.
that's pretty unbelievable.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. This happens a lot in the area I live in. There's a lot of attacks. I think people are getting desperate now. People, they're short of money, and especially druggies who are they need that hit, don't they? And they would do anything. They would literally go out and target anyone because they just
Absolute
want that hit.
craziness. Well, let's switch on to some good news here. My birthday wishes go out, and AJ's birthday wishes go out to Mr. Vladimir Putin today. If you're watching the program, Vlad, happy birthday. Have one on us. And we wish you all the great endeavors in the next year that you're going to be living on this earth. And hopefully, just hopefully, you'll bring us some good news here soon so that we can move on to more positive things here. I just wanted to say thank you for everyone who's joining tonight. I'm going to name up a few names some usuals that come on the show. Thank you, Jenny, for coming. Hammer88, Zug Liang, thank you very much. As well as Kevin. We greatly appreciate you guys being part of this program. And
don't forget Bridget as well.
Bridget L. Jones there. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there she
Our
there she
favorite
is. Right
moderator
there.
and Dark
Yeah.
Cloud as well. Dark Cloud.
Bridget,
UK.
we really appreciate the contribution that you help with us because, when we put these shows on, we don't have a massive crew of 20 or 30 people, but we do our best to report on some news. Now, I just wanted to talk to the audience. We've kind of labeled this program China and the West. Now, that's pretty broad, and I think that there's going to be some things that we want to kind of pivot to today. I think one of the most important pieces of headlines coming out was the failed attempt from the U.S. administration to try to persuade Saudi Arabia that it might be in the Americans or the collective West's best interest to lower or increase the production of barrels of oil coming out of OPEC. And that went over, as my father would say, like a lead balloon. AJ, over to you.
Yeah, that's right. So they refused to talk about it in the UN Council. I think this is the second time in UN's history this has ever happened. So the
Mm,
US and its cronies, we're talking about UK and Canada and all the cronies that the usual gang, try to put this resolution out about the Uyghurs. And 17 countries voted for, and 19 countries voted against. They basically
mm.
said we do not want to talk about it, and quite a few countries abstained as well. So uh, the West is so embarrassed by this episode. I think this is the second time in the history of the UN this has ever happened. Like I said, and also this comes to the back of this OPEC
Hmm.
removing 2 million barrels of oil off the market from November. So the West is losing its influence, and they are going absolutely crazy. They are absolutely going crazy about it.
I'm going to play a video here for all the viewers. Now, boy, oh boy, when you come across some videos once in a while, they sure kind of irritate you. I don't know if you feel the same, AJ,
Yeah.
but wow, they get the hair on the back of my neck up there. And this video I'm going to play to you guys. You're going to notice a few interesting people here. The institute is called the Hudson Institute, and you can just imagine where they get their funding from. And what they stand for and who they are. I'm going to play, and let's hopefully our audience, I just want you guys, the audience, to let me know if you guys can hear the audio on this. If not, I'll turn it up loud, but let me know if you guys can hear this. I'm just going to play you a little bit of a sound clip. I'm going to set this up because this is an institute that is, I call it the comedy of errors. It's built by a bunch of clowns. And, without further ado, let's take a let's take a good look at this. Now, I haven't shown AJ this yet, but this is more of an impromptu video. But let's play it for the audience. You okay with that, AJ?
Yeah, sure.
All right, here we go.
Important. American leadership is indispensable to the advancement of freedom.
Good old Nikki
Hudson is an
Haley.
American think tank providing cutting-edge policy work on
Joker
national
number
security,
one.
economics, foreign policy, and on U.S. domestic policy.
I'm so proud of what Hudson continues to accomplish. Hudson's been at the forefront of policy development for decades.
I regularly rely on Hudson Institute scholars to help inform my thinking and the way I help shape policy here in the Senate.
Our analysis and recommendations have never been in greater demand by the U.S. government and by governments around the world. We help leaders and citizens better understand threats and how to meet them effectively.
For more than a half a century, this institute.
Okay. So let's see. Did you guys hear that? Okay. All right. So I'm going somewhere with this video. Okay. And give me a second. I'm going to cue it up now, and I hope that you, the audience, can retain their laughter. But I want to really explain to the audience that the people representing this company and the motives behind it are very, very sick when you think about it and what they're spreading. Now, can you imagine having someone in your country represent, worldwide, from a diplomatic standpoint? Secretary of State's a very important position in the United States. Now, as we know, Mr. Pompeo used to be the Secretary of State under the Trump administration. When Mike traveled the world, he claimed that he had excellent relationships with Japan, China, many Southeast Asian countries around the world. Well, after that, Mikey forgot all about those relationships and all about what diplomatic channels stand for. And I really want to expose this guy who at one time I actually thought, oh, maybe he's looking for the best interest of America, when the relationships are really good with China. Now, I don't really, often I normally pin comments from clown shows, but this guy, I tell you, he takes it all. And if you guys can stand this, I'm going to play it for you guys to watch, okay? So here we go. And this is real. This isn't a joke. This is not a joke. And I'm just wondering if... Looks like he was, like, kidnapped to make
Hello,
this.
Mike Pompeo here. Today I want to talk about how the CCP tries to divide Americans based on race and how it lies to the world about the United States of America. I try not to go on social media too much, but during the Trump administration, I'd check Twitter at least once a day. Back then, it was a good way to see if I still had a job. Of course, Twitter's not allowed in China, but the CCP propagandists use it, and they subject the Chinese people to a lot of the same lies Americans see every day from Twitter mobs. The worst lie they tell is that America is somehow a racist country. That is the exact opposite of the truth. America is the only country in the world founded on the idea that all humans are treated and created equally. America is not perfect, but as my friend South Carolina Senator Tim Scott says, original sin is never the end of the story. Not in our souls and not in our nation. The real story is always redemption. We fought a civil war over slavery through abolition, civil rights, and women's suffrage.
Okay, so that was one of the videos from Mikey. It was quite a beauty, but it gets better. Oh, if you think that that's it from Mikey. Oh, Mikey. We're also seeing some people, I don't know if this comment was put out for me, but let's have a look. It's saying that... Where was it?
That Mike's got some serious health issues. He's been
yeah, Mike. I think there's something wrong up there.
Yeah,
I think there's something wrong.
He's lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, Brandy, I'm not sure who's this directed at, but so you're a lefty. Why are we talking about the last administration when the current one is awful? I'm not a lefty. I'm not a righty. I am a guy that doesn't live in the collective West, so I don't really... I don't vote in America, so for me to give you my political views, I don't think is relevant. But I'm going to call a spade, no matter what administration they're in. If they're part of the Bush administration or the Biden administration or the Trump administration, we got to call some of these guys out and girls. Okay, Brandy's gone anyway. Bye. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to continue on with this, AJ, if you don't mind, because this gets more comical by the second here. Okay, guys, here we go. We're going to go to part 2 of this. And here we are. Pay attention. It's Mike Pompeo.
Welcome to the Hudson Institute's China Center. I'm Mike Pompeo, 70th U.S. Secretary of State, and now chairman of the advisory board of the new center. As you can imagine, there's a lot more job security in this gig than the one in my last one. And the coffee here is a lot better than it was at Foggy Bottom as well.
How can anybody take this guy serious?
Our goal with these videos is pretty simple: to talk directly to the Chinese people about U.S.-China relations. And that's what we'll start doing with this series over the next few months. And then we'll keep it up. There's a reason we're doing this. The Chinese Communist Party doesn't represent the Chinese people. It's that simple. The CCP is a one-party, totalitarian, political organization committed to a foreign, anti-Chinese ideology. It started out as a group of brutal, radical extremists. And frankly, not much has changed.
Yeah, okay, Mike.
The worst mass murder in history was Mao.
This guy's
His
incredible,
victims,
isn't he?
Mostly
He's
Chinese.
just absolutely incredible.
The same is true of Deng Xiaoping, who murdered pro-democracy
We could
protesters in
debunk
Tiananmen
this
Square.
about 50 times.
Xi Jinping continues
Okay,
that communist legacy
51
even
times.
today.
Oh my God.
There is no bigger enemy for the CCP than you,
What?
the Chinese people. I know this is true because all my interactions with the CCP leaders convince me that what the CCP truly cares about is maintaining their stranglehold over the Chinese people. That's it. That is their paramount interest.
Come on.
The CCP hates the United States because they're paranoid. Paranoid that the Chinese people will be inspired by the example of American freedom, the world's oldest and most influential democracy. I've gotten to know the work of brave Chinese freedom fighters like Cardinal
Okay,
Zen.
guys, I can't. I can't handle it. It's
All
just wow.
Not one Chinese person is going to stand up and rise up against. I would like to see one person stand up to, yeah, I'm with Mike Pompeo. I'm going to stand up against the government.
Let's go, Mikey. Holy cow. I mean, when I watched that, I actually thought it was a deep fake. I really did. And then I went back, I watched it again. I sent it to my mom. My mom goes, he looks like, maybe somebody's kidnapped him and holding him at gunpoint. Does he really think that, that is, people are going to believe him? And I don't know. It's amazing. I just got some breaking news here from Noel Lee, otherwise known as Caliber Wings here on YouTube. I had a chat with him the other day on a live stream. He says that China drone maker blacklisted by the Pentagon. China's biggest drone maker, DJI, has been blacklisted by the United States Defense Department. Well, I guess there's not going to be any unboxing of DJI drones for any YouTubers in the United States, and I don't think anybody's going to be flying anything of credibility there. Nice one, Department of Defense. Well done.
You know what this means, right? This means that DJI will send drones to Russia, and Russia will use it against Ukraine. And what's the US going to do? What's they going to do? Sanction them? They can't do anything. They're already sanctioned, so they can send as many drones as they want to Russia, sell them for a discount. Who cares?
This is a good point that and Yud Liang, I hope I pronounced your name right, but if not, help me out, because you've been such a great viewer of this channel. That's right. There's probably a reason why Mr. Pompeo is working for such a discredited organization, probably at relatively a reduced fee on what the Taiwanese paid him. Is he sanctioned? And that pretty much means that all his gigs are canceled. Good luck going out there and trying to find a speech gig with a Fortune 500 company because, well, you're sanctioned by China, and any company that has connections in China will not be allowed to do business with you or have you speak on their behalf. And that's pretty much the entire Fortune 500. Nice one, Mike. Great one. Awesome. If you ever need
that includes Hong Kong, Macau. And if China, joins up with Taiwan in the future, that includes Taiwan as well. So he's pretty much stuffed, And if he becomes the next Secretary of State, say if Trump wins and brings him back, he can't travel to China or Hong Kong. He's pretty much he'll be pretty much useless. He'll be stuck in the administration.
Sorry, I was just a bit distracted there. I'm waiting for an interesting piece of paper to sit in front of my desk because there's some things I want to talk to you guys about it. No, I think the position with Mike Pompeo is going to be very simple. It'll be 10 bags of long stem balloons, and it will be probably a suburban strip mall, and he will be making balloons for kids because he's one of the biggest clowns that I've ever come across.
Yeah, he is a clown.
What a bloody sideshow that is. I mean, the credibility of the United States, that was their Secretary of State, and he goes up there and he's trying to tell this bizarre story. It's really creepy. And I mean, imagine if he sits in your house and, hey kids, I gotta tell you about this story. I mean, that's how weird it is. The guy is weird. I mean, I think there could be something wrong with him. There could be something wrong with him.
The scary thing is if Trump is not allowed to standing as the next president, he is going to be standing in. I think he's going to be fighting with the Florida guy, the DeSantis. But
I mean,
it's either going to be Trump or him.
The relevance of these guys politically has really gone down the toilet. I mean, in the last decade here. I mean, everybody's starting to figure out what's going on. I mean, our viewers know exactly what's going on down in the collective West. They know what everybody's up there. Come on. I mean, it's just not going to work anymore, guys. I mean, to be taken serious as a credible nation, you got to build your relationships that you guys have destroyed over the last decades, a couple of decades. They're destroyed. I don't know where they're going. Who the hell wants to do business with these guys?
Yeah, I mean, look, this isn't what you call diplomacy, or this is what you call I remember the days of the past when countries used to go and talk to each other, even though they didn't like each other or had separate values. They used to at least have communication channels open. They wouldn't insult each other like they're doing now. It's crazy how, I mean, during the Cold War, I've never seen Reagan or anyone stand up and say things like this to Russia.
No, never.
It's just like they are really trying to burn their bridges with China. But there's so much problems happening around the world. Trust me, China is the last thing you need to worry about. There's, the oil prices. There's the stuff that's going on in the Middle East. There's terrorism. There's stuff that's going on in Ukraine. There's a lot of stuff happening around the world, and these guys want to basically make an enemy out of China.
Yeah, and they're continuing to do it. I mean, if there's a nation that loves to just fire bullets into their feet, it's America. I mean, doesn't this guy get it that what he's saying? Does he really? And does he actually believe people in their own country believe what he's saying? I mean, Jesus.
Nobody takes
I mean, how
seriously.
far does it go?
I mean, when he was Secretary of State, he was the most racist Secretary of State.
Sure.
I mean, his press conferences were sent out all over China, and Chinese people were listening to that, and they think, bloody hell, what the hell is this racist guy doing? He was absolutely racist in his words. He was really, he did not hold back any punches when it came to China. And you expect people to stand up and listen to him?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, here's a great comment here. 1.5 billion people. Bridge burnt. Sorry, we aren't stupid. Exactly. 100% I support that one. There's something else I wanted to bring you guys up. As you guys know, I get quite into the investigative parts of my work here. And I dig quite deep into whether it's, last week we exposed, we'll call them Alensky's offshore connections through the Pandora and the Panama Papers. I want to bring another company up to your attention here. This company is called the McKinsey Institute. Now, what is the McKinsey Institute, that you might ask? It is a major consulting firm based in the United States. They do a lot of work, we'll call it, for a few special clients, but there is a scandal that is unfolding in front of us right now. Some of the papers that they put out, they try to guide governments and guide administrations on what to do, whether it's in a geopolitical landscape, or whether it's a company that is in trouble, or a company that has to, do a lot of changes internally. I'll just give you an example here. The McKinsey scandal, the firm has been associated with a number of notable scandals, including the collapse of Enron in 2001, 2007 to 2008 financial crisis, and facilitating in state capture in South Africa. It has also drawn controversy for its involvement in Purdue Pharma. Purdue Pharma, if you guys don't know, was one of the largest opioid companies in the United States and Canada. And as well with U.S. immigration and customs enforcement and authoritarian regimes. There is a major book that was just put out, funny enough, by the New York Times that has written up about this institute and brought it right to the front pages of their paper. This is what I would call a very clandestine, dark horse, very, very well-funded company. I'm just going to give you some figures here. It is one of the most prestigious global management consulting firms. It's been around since 1926. And, it prides itself in pretty much hiring the creme de la creme of consultants. Now, these consultants work in every part of business globally you can imagine. It's almost like I can compare it to, have you ever seen that old Tom Cruise movie where he belongs to a law firm called The Firm? Do you know where I'm going with that, AJ?
Yeah, I've seen that film.
This is interesting. Anyway, McKinsey was the firm was founded in 1926 by the University of Chicago. Current revenue, get this, guys, consulting firm. I love that word, consulting. What is consulting? Well, I'm a consultant. Oh, yeah, what do you do? I'm a consultant. I'm a consultant on YouTube. Okay. AJ's a consultant of YouTube too. But these guys are the consultants to the tune of, get this, guys, for revenue in consulting, not manufacturing, not import export, but consulting. Any guesses how big their revenue is, AJ?
Probably
Just imagine
billions?
consulting.
Billions?
$10.6 billion.
Wow.
30,000 employees these guys have.
Wow.
And they are connected to everything. Everything. And some of the literature and stuff that's coming out, and some of the documents that have been leaked, and some of the, I'm not even sure they're going to be called whistleblowers, because some of these guys don't even, they're very anonymous. And this book that came out about them is incredible. I mean, even the company Valiant, a Canadian pharmaceutical company that was invested by the SEC, has been accused of improper accounting. 3 out of 6 senior executives were recent ex-McKinsey employees. That was a massive scandal. Their role in the opioid endemic, Riker Island jail complex, they had an investment affiliate SEC charges, their role in Saudi clampdown on dissidents. I mean, these guys, it just keeps going deeper and deeper and deeper. And why I bring up this name is because apparently I can't find it yet. I'm looking for it. I'm digging for it. But there is a blueprint paper, allegedly, I'm going to say that, allegedly, that has been leaked out on the internet, that people feel that there are some individuals that have written a paper conducting or basically orchestrating what maybe the leader, and this is allegedly now, of Ukraine is following this game plan. So that's interesting. Any comments on that, AJ?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, we know that Ukraine is not really run by Zelensky, and this is run by a bunch of people who tell Zelensky what to do, and it can be Nuland, it can be these organizations, and I'm pretty sure they're doing exactly that. It's definitely not Biden, and I just think that. I just think they're all falling apart, Alex. I mean, you've seen all of these latest things that Zelensky is doing. For example, when he was signing that NATO document outside with his 2 bodyguards, that looked so fake. And you would think that if he was a puppet, he would have consulted with the West first. He would have talked to NATO, he would have talked to the US and said, look, I want to send this application, I want to join. But how embarrassing was it? He did this high production thing outside with his 2 fat goons. And he looked like a little dwarf, standing in the middle. And then the next thing you know, NATO's like, no, this is not the right time for Ukraine to join, and the US is like, no, it's not a good time. So how embarrassing was that? I mean, it shows that all of these links and stuff are probably breaking, Alex. I think he was more controlled in the beginning, but I think now he's going completely out of control. I think the US has probably told him to do certain things and he's not following orders, or he's doing his own thing now. I just think the whole division is breaking. I think the whole thing's about to collapse. I mean, that was really uncomfortable viewing. I mean, watching that embarrassment, watching him embarrassing himself in the front of the world, signing that document, and the whole world is saying, no, it's not the right time for you to join NATO. How embarrassing is that? It just shows that the West is divided. He's divided the West. Nobody knows what's going on, who's running who's following what orders. It's crazy, Alex.
Yeah, he's... we had Patrick Lancaster on the Duran yesterday, and I have to tell you guys, if you're not aware of Patrick Lancaster, he's been also on AJ's channel as well. And we've had him on a few times, once on with AJ and I think once on the Duran. And you have to understand that, this war that is going on there, the Minsk agreement was signed, and I'm going to bring that up for you guys, the Minsk agreement, just to let you guys know where we are with this here. And I'm not sure if you guys are aware of the Minsk agreement that was signed years ago, but I decided to give it another read over. Have you ever read it, AJ? Did you ever have a look at it?
I have. Yeah, I have.
Okay, I'll bring it up for.
It wasn't even that much, really. It's only
only
Russia was
2
only
pages.
Russia was only asking for a few things. They just wanted Donetsk and Luhansk to be autonomous regions. They wanted to obviously keep Crimea as it was, and they just wanted peace. Basically, they just wanted Ukraine to just follow this agreement, and that was it, and not to join NATO. And that's that was it. There was nothing more than that.
So I'm going to can everybody see that? Just let me know. AJ, I also got your private chat. I'll bring that up soon.
Yeah.
Can everybody see that, or should I zoom in a little bit more? You guys okay with that? Let's just wait and see what the chat...
I think maybe zoom in a bit more.
Okay.
I can't see it very well, but it could be me. Yeah, that's better. Yeah. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, guys, so I just want to kind of go over this with you. And this agreement was orchestrated with Hollande in France, Angela Merkel, Germany. We had also the president of the Belarus. We had Vladimir Putin, and we had Mr. Poroshenko involved in this agreement. All signed it. It was signed. Minsk, 12th of February 2015. Let's go over what this agreement said. Very simple. The immediate and comprehensive ceasefire in certain areas of Donetsk and Lugansk regions of Ukraine and its strict implementation starting at 0 a.m. Kiev time on the 15th of February 2015. Okay, here we go. Withdrawal of heavy weapons. All right, basically saying nothing major, guys. You got to withdraw them, get them out of there. Ensure effective monitoring and verification of ceasefire with heavy weapons by the OSCE from day one of withdrawal. Okay. Now, please, guys and girls, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of this agreement, and you guys, I think, if you haven't seen this, you're going to be quite shocked. Okay? All right. I continue. Launch a dialogue day one. Straightforward. Yep.
Ensure pardon and amnesty by enacting the law prohibiting the prosecution and punishment of persons in connection with the events that took place in certain areas of Donetsk and Luhansk region. Basically, we'll wash our hands, both sides of this. Let's get on with life. You go your way, we'll go our way. All right? Get it. Number 6, ensure release and exchange of all hostages and unlawfully detained persons. Straightforward. Ensure safe access, delivery, storage, and distribution of humanitarian assistance to those in need on a basis of international mechanisms. All right. Now, everybody, this is the big one. You might not think it's big, but this says everything. This says everything about what happened in this situation. This line right here, okay? Number 8, definition, modalities of full resumption of socio-economic ties, including social transfers, such as a pension, payments and other payments, incomes, revenues, timely payouts of all utility bills, reinstating taxation with legal framework of Ukraine. To this end, Ukraine shall reinstate control of the segment of its banking system in the conflict areas and possibly an international mechanism to facilitate such transfers. Reinstatement of full control of state border government of Ukraine throughout the conflict area starting on the 1st, after local elections ending after the comprehensive political system. So basically allowing and accepting the votes. Okay, it gets even crazier. Okay, it gets even crazier. It goes on point by point by point. Okay, and then as we dig down deeper into this agreement, it goes on about telling Ukraine to turn on the electricity, turn on the bank machines again, turn on the telecommunication lines that they downed. Let me ask you this, AJ. If a country is in good faith or in conflict, this is 2015. You can see very clearly that there was no good intentions back as early as 2014, where they shut off the electricity. And you've heard it on this program before. We've had Patrick Lancaster on here before. They shut off the water. They shut off the banking system. They shut off the pensions, the pensioners. They shut down the payment to the pensioners. While they were at it, they blew up a $500 million airport in Donetsk. Blew it up, leveled it, so that the people couldn't use it. And you expect people to trust people that have signed that agreement? No wonder Macron was so wanting to get in there at an early stage to try to salvage some sort of an agreement, AJ. It just shows you that in writing, it says in 2015 that half of the country, or 2/3 of the country, shut off the electrical water system to its own people. And as this military, whatever you want to call it, war continues to go on, they're shelling their own country and their own people.
Yeah.
Until a couple of days ago. I mean, this is incredible. You can see it. I mean, how can people deny it? Whoa, no, everything was fine. The Donetsk people were... I'm sorry, but when you go back and you start to read these agreements, you start to really grit your teeth and say, wait a minute, maybe the message that we're getting is not very clear from the collected West here. All a person has to do is go on Google, put Minsk agreement, print the 2 pages in paper, and ask yourself, why were all these amenities, why were all these things shut off? Why? If a country cared about its people. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
I mean, there's only one reason they did not implement the Minsk agreements, because they thought Russia was weak. You know, after the Soviets collapsed, you know, the West basically underestimated Russia. They think, oh, Russia's not going to do anything. You can ignore the Minsk agreements. We got NATO here. We got the US. We will protect you. Russia's not going to do anything. Just they're weak. They after the Soviet collapse, they're a bunch of weaklings. So ignore them. Don't, carry on doing what you're doing. And that's what Zelensky followed those orders. Zelensky did not do this out of his own accord. Somebody from the top told him to carry on. Somebody from the top told him not to implement these Minsk agreements, and that's what he did. And the West they completely underestimated Russia. Completely underestimated them, and this is where we are right now.
As I said on yesterday's program, people that have doubts about my story or me making some of these comments, all I got to do is forward you on to Patrick Lancaster's channel. He is a crowdfunded independent journalist and a very good friend of mine that I've met on a few occasions. It's very clear that what Patrick has recorded in the Donetsk People's Republic for the last 9 years will be critical video that at I think in the near future, or once this whole conflict is over, will be used in war tribunals for years to come. And can you imagine if Patrick Lancaster, a YouTuber, didn't go out and film this kind of stuff? It's horrific that he had to do it. I mean, it's an incredibly kind of thing that you just. I mean, I haven't seen a journalist like Patrick do that. And
he's fearless. He's fearless.
He's self-funded. He's married a local girl. He has children in there, And he has archived 9 years of this stuff, everyone. 9 years. You're not going to see this come out on Western media. But guess what? He's got it. It's for you, the viewer, to see. You can't deny it. It can't. At first people said, "Oh, it's staged. It's staged. Patrick's staging it. It's staged. It's fake. It's phony. It never doesn't happen." Really, 9 years of staging this stuff? I mean, come on. It's absolutely incredible.
Exactly.
So yeah.
And the truth will come out one day, Alex. The truth eventually comes out. Like the Iraq War, how long did it take for the truth to come out? Maybe 20 years. People start talking about, maybe all of this stuff was lies, fake. That girl giving evidence saying babies were being snatched from incubators, that was fake. All these stories start coming out 20 years later, 30 years later. But by then, nobody cares. It's too late. And this is exactly what happens during the time. If you speak out against it, you're like, "Oh, you're a Putin lover. You're paid by Russia. You're a Putin shill." But then 20 years later, "Oh yeah, you're right. Okay, who cares? Let's move on." That's how it works, Alex. And eventually, he will need that footage, because 20 years later, 30 years later, when eventually the truths come out, and there's going to be articles coming out like how the West supported a Nazi regime, how the West supported Zelensky, how Zelensky fooled the West, blah, blah, blah. All of these stories will come out. And I think that's when they will start using they'll want to blame someone. They'll use some tribunals. That's when they'll use his footage. But yeah, it will come out eventually, whether it's 20 years, 30 years, you'll see big headlines, how the West was fooled by the Nazi regime, all of these ridiculous headlines.
Yesterday, coming off that Duran program, I took quite a bit of a bashing from the anti-China crowd. It was quite extraordinary, the information that they were, bombarding my channel this morning.
Really?
It was,
wow.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we had some people in there really laying into me. And I said, if it really does bother you that a Canadian like myself is enjoying his life in China, that's this way it's going to be. I film, I show my videos, my aerials, my vlogs, and my shows. It's really tough. And then he said to me, "Oh, but what about this bus that drove off the cliff and that person that was driving suicide?" And I was like, "What? Like, what are you talking about?" Like, I said, do you go to random channels and ask them random questions about random suicide events? Like, seriously? And he says, "Quit deflecting from the topic." And I said, "Well, okay, what about, mass shootings in the United States then? Why would you bring that up?" I was like, "Oh, okay, I've wasted enough time on it." But, I do take my fair share of bashing from the anti-China crowd, and that's okay. This is what I signed up for, personally signed up for, personally funded on my own channel, Reportify Media. I fund that. This right there, that back wallet funds that channel 100%. And people just can't handle it. They become completely unglued when
exactly
the moment that you mention China and you see a Canadian on the screen at the same time, they're like, "Oh, but what you're showing isn't the truth. You don't know." And you know what? I'm a little bit confused too, AJ. I've been here for over a year, and I've visited China for 22, 23 years, over 25 major cities. I've been to 107 countries. I'm still looking for this social credit system here in China. Like, I haven't found. I don't know what people are talking about. Are they talking about like?
It's actually in the West. We have a social credit system in the West. It's called, if you fail to pay off a loan or something,
right?
It's called a credit, some sort of credit system we have in the West. If you fail to pay a loan, your name gets marked, and you can't take out any more loans or phones and things like that. And your credit system goes all the way to the bottom. So we have something similar in the West. It's called Experian, Experian or the credit system. And if you're at the bottom, you are the lowest of the low. Nobody will give you any money. Nobody will give you any, like, you can't even borrow a mobile phone, etc., until your credit system increases. It's exactly the same thing, except it doesn't exist in China. I mean, they just like,
Yeah, I mean,
I think,
if it's like a criminal record, or if it's like a bad credit score,
yeah.
I think that if they can combine them all in one, I mean, they do that anyway in the Western country. If you got a criminal record, if you're in Canada, you have a criminal record, you've been writing bad checks, you've been screwing people around, you're terrible at business, you cheat on your taxes. You're not going to get on a plane to Europe or United States because they won't let you in because you're a criminal. B, you're going to have problems domestically because you haven't paid your taxes.
Alex, all of these stories actually came out from India, because I've been looking at some of these articles of where it's generated from. All of this stuff you're talking about, these social credit systems, came out from India. You talk about things like debt trap stories. These debt trap stories first came out of India because Sri Lanka is right next to Indian territory, and all of these Indian papers are like, debt trap, Sri Lanka, debt trap, and then it traveled to the West. They said the Three Gorges Dam was about to collapse. It came out from India. All of these fake news, fake stories first comes out of India first, and the West just jump on it. The West just jump on it like it's the best thing since sliced bread. But we know that the fake news capital is India. There's so much fake news that comes out from there. They started spreading this story about the President Xi coup, and you have to go on Twitter. You see all of these Indians are just spreading it like wildfire. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Hey, normally I don't take the bait too much on some of these comments, but I'll take the bait on this one here. Dormantle NIQ. I'm going to bring this up on here. Patrick Lancaster is allowed to be in the Ukraine to spread lies. Thank you for censoring your swear words. I appreciate that, for the Western BS narrative. So let me just give you, and if anybody wants to comment to that person, they can in the chat. And maybe that person would like to come on the show and we could have a one-by-one conversation, and you can educate me what maybe I'm missing here about my great friend who actually puts his life on the line to get out the story. Let's talk about Patrick Lancaster for you, our viewing guest, and welcome to the program. Patrick Lancaster I met many years ago. He was a independent freelance journalist, and at the time he had finished being in the military in the United States of America and actually was on vacation in Ukraine at the time. That's right, Ukraine at the time. His wife is a local Donetsk girl. He had met his wife in Donetsk, married her shortly after that, and had 2 wonderful children. Patrick has seen countless local friends be killed during the 2014 coup in Ukraine and 2015. Patrick has systematically recorded over thousands of locals that have died. Anytime that there was a local that lost their lives, whether it was a shelling, a mortar attack, or whatever, Patrick always went on location to document that, to put it in his archives, to add it to his videos, because that was his humanitarian right to do that. And he felt that he was doing the better for the locals, mankind, his relatives, and everyone. He continues to do that today, putting his life on the line. He has more integrity than any other person in the entire Western media worldwide could have, even just on his finger. He's got more integrity than the collected media around the world combined. This truly is a modern day hero, I think, a person that should win endless amount of awards, if he lives, that is, because he risks his life to tell you, the people who are being brainwashed by a lot of the Western media, seeing one side of it. Patrick is a very balanced individual. He never says, take my word, 100% my word. He's saying, watch both sides of the media, come up to your conclusion, but here is what's happening on the Donetsk People's Republic side. He never misses a heartbeat. He never misses an opportunity to go out there to tell a story. No matter if he has $5 in his back pocket or $500 in his back pocket. He flies by the seat of his pants. He's tried for many years to try to get other people to come along with him in his journey. Some do, some volunteer. Some, like myself, get on a plane and meet individuals like this, because during my lifetime, I have always rallied behind people that are the underdog. Patrick Lancaster is the underdog when it comes to journalism today. But if there's an individual that has some of the most credibility to me, that can tell a story and tell what's going on truthfully during today's geopolitical turmoil, this one young man is doing it. Can you imagine if we didn't have Patrick Lancasters in this world? It would be absolutely terrifying to see what kind of story we have. That is all I have to say to you, door mantle, whatever you are. It's unfortunate that you have just blown your credibility to the entire chat room. Over to you, AJ.
Yeah, of course. I mean, not just Patrick Lancaster, but people like yourself, Alex, and the fact that you jumped on a plane to support Patrick Lancaster, because we live in a world, we need both sides of the story. We cannot be humans if we do not listen to both sides. For example, if there is a fight on the streets and two people are just knuckling it out, punching each other, are you going to stand on one side rather than the other side? You're going to separate them, and you will listen to both sides of the story. You will talk to one guy, you say, all right, what happened? Then you will talk to the other guy and get his side of the story. It's the same when the police come in, they investigate, they speak to all parties, they speak to both parties. This is how real life works. But the kind of life we're living at the moment, people don't want to hear the truth. People don't want to hear the other side of the story, whether it's the truth or whether it's something you believe or you don't believe. It doesn't matter. The fact that you got to allow other people to tell their side of the story. You got to let people speak about the other side. Otherwise, what kind of world are we living in?
Yeah, it's really sad to see people that can't appreciate the hardship that people are going through just to get a message out to the world. I mean, I gave up years of my life to come to China here to try to straighten out this slanted ship that is sinking in the Pacific Ocean. I mean, it's really tragic, the message that we're getting from the collective West media and the rhetoric that is already starting towards China. You can hear the drums that are already beating. I mean, the provocation from elected the House leader getting on an airplane. She knows damn well what she's doing. Why do they want this? And that is just I'm speechless, AJ.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, my channel started. It's a fairly news channel, but I started last year. And I just said enough is enough, because I had a Huawei phone at the time, and suddenly, a couple of days later, I hear on the news that Huawei's been banned from UK. They've been kicked out, and I'm thinking, what the hell is going on? So I started doing my own research, and I started looking at everything, looking at the history, looking at where it started, when it started, how it started. So I did my own kind of critical thinking, and I thought, bloody hell, this is not right. So this is why I opened my channel. I also had a Chinese friend at the time as well, and he got beaten up and put into a coma. So I said to myself, I need to speak out about this. So I opened my YouTube channel, started speaking out about it, started spreading the truth. I didn't have many supporters at the time, and then suddenly I am obviously it's grown to however much today, but it all started from there. end of the day, everybody has the capacity to kind of go out there, do their own research, listen to the right people. You know, when things are not right in the world, you need to stand up, look around you, look at the evidence, do your own research, because we're human beings, we're intelligent. We can look at, we can make up our own minds. We know what's the truth, what's wrong, what's right, what's wrong. And we all have a responsibility to go out and do that. And if you know the truth, then you have a responsibility to spread the truth as well, and trying to see if there's any other people who agree with you, or if they don't agree with you, have a conversation with them. And this is why I opened my channel. And people say, oh, but I talk about everything. I don't just talk about China. I obviously talk about Russia. I just talk about all of the wrongs that are happening around the world. When something's wrong, you cannot just stand by and let it happen. It's like when somebody is raping a woman in the street. Are you going to stand by and walk away, or are you going to let it happen? You got to sometimes stand up and do something that's right. You got to, and that's what we're doing. We're not making much money out of it. We're not making much profit out of it. And recently, my name's been put onto this disinformation website and NGO website. So my life could be at risk. I could have the government knocking on my door any minute. So people think, is it really worth it? I'm thinking, yeah, it's definitely worth spreading the news. I'm not scared. I think only reason I'm hiding my identity is because, I'm scared about what they will do to people that know me, like my missus and my family and things like that. So it's basically to protect them rather than me. If it was just me, then I wouldn't really care, to be honest. But yeah.
Yeah, we got to stay strong on our message. I mean, it's yeah. We have another piece that you want me to. Oh, it's saying is it saying subscribe now on the golf news story?
Oh, is it? No, I think it's the heading. We just wanted the heading.
You want the heading? Okay, let's let. Oh,
yeah, we just need
I can't get that up either. I can't get. It's not.
It okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's strange. I see it. That's just all right. Let me go to another one. I'll give you another one. Give me a second.
Yes. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to read some of the things from our side chat, and I just want to thank everybody for joining the program today. Thank you very much. From the 16th to the 23rd, I believe, of October, we will be having 7 live stream shows. These are mostly going to be focused around the very important meeting that's coming up here on October 16th. I'm sure everybody is aware that the 20th National Congress of the Chinese Communist Party, there are going to be some big things, big decisions, and big predictions on what the next 5 years are going to be like, or what is the plan. And there's going to be a ton of questions. I know the COVID-19 restrictions are definitely going to be coming up. You just know that'll be the first thing that everybody is talking about. Okay, AJ, let's have a look.
I've sent you a second link. Al Jazeera this time. So I want to talk a bit about Saudi Arabia now. So I'm going to give a bit of history with Saudi Arabia. So Saudi Arabia is not a democracy, and as you know, this is run by the royal family, and there's never been any democracy there. They weren't voted in. And the US have been supporting them since they found oil in there. So when it comes to democracy, they will only support it when it suits them. So when it comes to dictatorships, they'll ignore it, and that's what they've done. So there was a time when Saudi Arabia blocked oil sales to the United States, and this was because there was a war going on with Israel. And they called it a huge oil embargo. There was an oil embargo. And the USA was ready to go into Saudi Arabia and invade it and take all of its oil back then in 1973. And because of that threat, Saudi Arabia had to back down. They decided to end the oil embargo, and everything was fine. So fast forward to this day. I mean, ever since then, Saudi Arabia have been very good allies with the United States. They did everything that the United States wanted them to. They bought loads of weapons, made the military-industrial complex very rich, and we are at a point now where Saudi Arabia has lost complete confidence in the Biden administration. MBS doesn't even pick up his phone. And when Biden went to Saudi Arabia, nobody of importance greeted him in the airport. But when Trump was in Saudi Arabia, they greeted him with a red carpet, loads of hugs. There was a parade. But when Biden went there, it was like there's nobody there to greet him. And then Biden went there, he begged for some oil. Obviously, nothing happened. And now we are at a point where Saudi Arabia and US ties have gone completely off the rails. And I wouldn't be surprised, Alex, I wouldn't be surprised in the next few months that you will see articles coming out in the US papers blaming Saudi for 9/11, because we all know most of those people in those planes were Saudis. And I wouldn't be surprised if they start coming up with all of these articles about Saudi Arabia, how they got involved. And I wouldn't be surprised if oil prices keep rising as they are rising. And the fact that US has got no control over Saudi anymore. I mean, they can't invade Saudi because I know for a fact that Russia and China will come in to Saudis. They will come in as well as a big host of other countries as well. It's going to be it's what you call the alliance of the willing, but in the east rather than the west. And they're not going to let it happen. And I think the US they're absolutely, I would say the word shitting themselves, because they've lost complete confidence of the world. They've lost influence, they've lost confidence, countries do not respect them. And now they have lost control of the oil market. They can't control the oil market. A couple of weeks ago, they were talking about an oil cap. That's gone out of the window because they can't control OPEC. And if OPEC starts reducing the oil outputs and petrol prices start rising up, they can't do anything. And you have Biden's midterms happening in November, which is like a month away. And petrol prices have gone out of control. The economy is in dire straits. I just think that, United States might do something desperate, and they might, if things go the way they are, and if oil spirals out of control, I think they might be desperate and start looking at invading somewhere around the Middle East. I wouldn't say Saudi Arabia, but I probably think they will start with Iran. I probably think they will probably go for Iran rather than Saudi Arabia. But Saudi Arabia would be next. They're basically taking these Middle East countries out one by one. But I think there was a prediction where somebody said that the next world war is going to be about oil. And I think we are heading that way because, the US economy relies on oil. And when they use fracking to get oil, because US doesn't have any oil, but they do have a lot of, they extract oil using fracking. But the problem when you extract oil with fracking, it's very expensive, and the oil you get out using fracking is not the same quality as the oil you get from Saudi. So you have to refine it, and it's a very expensive process. And I don't know if you remember last year, a lot of fracking companies went out of business because a lot of the oil price was so low that a lot of fracking companies went out of business because they couldn't afford it. But now they're really high. But you can't just set up fracking companies straight away. You need a couple of years to set up your infrastructure, your equipment, your drilling sites. Then you need to get the licensing. All of this stuff takes time. So if all of these companies have gone bust and they want to start again, then it takes at least a couple of years for them to start again. So US is very desperate. The green transformation is not going the way they are. The US is still reliant on oil because people in the US love oil. I mean, you just have to look at everyone just drives around with pickup trucks and 4x4s. They love these guzzling cars. They love it. It's American culture.
AJ, when's the last time you were in the United States?
I think about 10 years ago. I lived in Atlanta.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, I lived in Atlanta, the dirty South. Well, yeah, it was good fun. It was good fun. But yeah, everyone I saw, it was like driving around in pickup trucks and 4x4s, V6 engines, V8 engines, and there's a love affair with oil and guns in the United States, and I think eventually they will have to do something. And I wouldn't be surprised if they do something really stupid like going to the Middle East again. Because the thing about the US, they love to focus on China. They love to focus on China. They love to kind of have look at that eventual war with China, but they just cannot get out. They just cannot get out of Europe, and they cannot get out of the Middle East. It keeps dragging them back and back, and this is what's happening. It keeps dragging the US back into the Middle East, and it keeps dragging the US back into Europe. They just can't get out of these two regions, and they've been trying for the last few years to get troops out of the Middle East, focus on China, but now it looks like they're going to have to go back into the Middle East because the petrol prices have gone out of control. They've used everything in their means to reduce the petrol. They've gotten rid of the reserves, which hasn't worked. They tried to do this oil cap thing, which hasn't worked. Everything they're doing is not working, and eventually, when the prices go over what people can afford, you will see people rioting in streets, and the United States may do something really stupid like start invading the Middle East again just to get the oil. So I don't know, Alex. What do you think?
Yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in this world. I mean, you can see there's not much trust with any governments, and people are resorting to protecting some of their wealth with cryptocurrencies, gold. People are buying silver now. But then again, some of these headlines are huge with the amounts of corruption going on. I'm just looking at this one now that just came across my desk while we started the show. It's another fraud took place in the crypto, let's just say the crypto markets. And we're talking big numbers. I never, unless I've been out of touch for a long time, these numbers seem huge to me. I mean, have a look at this here. This is $570 million worth of Binance BNB tokens stolen in another major crypto hack. I mean, so much for the bank robber movies where somebody goes in, takes $10,000 or something like that. This is $570 million.
Easy money in Bitcoin hacking. It happens a lot, and what do you think about Credit Suisse going down, Alex? I think things are not looking good in the financial. Yeah, things are not looking good in the financial sector.
Yeah, Credit Suisse has been in the headlines for years. I mean, there's always some issues with that bank. Let me just give you an idea of what they've decided to maybe navigate out of this problem here. Is the bank has offered to buy back up to $3 billion of debt securities as it navigates a plunging share price and a rise in bets against its debt. Seeing it down at the 422 mark is not a very good sign. But can they weather the storm? Do they have enough money to go against that? When the shorters come out, when they hit it hard, usually no. The Swiss lender also confirmed that it is selling its famous Savoy Hotel in Zurich financial district, prompting some speculation that it is scrambling for liquidity. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
The credit default swap rate for Credit Suisse has continued to rise this year. These CDSs are lethal.
Yeah.
And,
it's going to get worse, Alex. It's getting worse. We are just touching the tip of the iceberg here. I mean, with interest rates rising, with oil prices rising, it's going to get a hell of a lot worse before it gets any better. So these companies are at serious risk. And I think Credit Suisse will be the first to go, followed by other financial institutions.
And that's the tragedy that you see. Those are shareholders that belong in that company. The management, they can restructure and reissue shares to themselves at 0.001 cent on the dollar. the average shareholder gets wiped out, or if it's a pension plan that had major dealings in that. I mean, it's a tough racket. It really is tough to see companies like that go down, but they are, and we're gonna it's gonna be a tough year here. You better believe it's gonna be a tough year. You know that. You can see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, amazing, everyone. AJ, what are your plans for the weekend? Just curious.
Oh,
You got some videos
yeah,
in the pipeline?
I need to sell my house. I'm trying to make some. So I'm going to be going around estate agents trying to get some good deals.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm trying to sell up here. I'm not going to tell you why, but making plans.
All right. I just want to say thank you to everybody for joining the program tonight. AJ and I do have busy schedules this week, and we wanted to squeeze one in there. We have a lot of topics coming up next week. I'm going to probably or AJ, I'm going to be on your show, and you'll be on my show, or our show, a few times next week if you have the time. I know you got a busy schedule, but that would be great. And
no worries.
I'm going to, once again, let you chat with the audience here. And once you're done, don't worry, everyone. I will leave the... sorry, I'm just going to block these dating sites that keep coming up here. I'm going to then leave the chat open so that all you people are going to be able to interact with each other. AJ, I'm going to hand it over to you. But anyway, from here at the iChongqing fantastic newsroom here in Chongqing, China, I wish you all a fantastic weekend. Have a glorious weekend. AJ, take it away. The floor belongs to you. All right, take care, guys.
Yeah, I just want to give a big thanks to all of you guys who have joined in with us, and a big thank you to the moderators, obviously Brigitte, Zuge, Dark Cloud, a few others. Really appreciate your help, guys. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you in the next one. Over to you, Alex.
Okay, everyone. Thanks, guys. We're going to shut down our video screens for now, but we will let you guys have a fantastic goodbye to each other. Hey, and be nice, okay, guys? Take care.